What is up, fam? Welcome to another Car Talk podcast. It is a toasty one, so I'm going to try and cruise with the windows down, but if I feel like it's going to be too annoying for the audio, I'm going to probably roll them up like I just did. Hopefully it's not too bad, though. But yeah, first off, I just hope every single one of you is doing amazing. It's what, June 5th or 6th? I don't even know. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day here in Illinois. It's like there's no humidity. I don't know what it's been the past week, but we've gotten really, really dry weather, and it's so nice when it's, around 70, 80 degrees, because then you just go into the shade and it's absolutely beautiful. So the weather has been phenomenal, and it's got me in this wonderful, wonderful summer mood. And I know I talked about it a little bit last podcast, but it's just a huge blessing. Like, it's, not having to go to school, and, just knowing that this was my favorite time of year as a kid. Like, it's cool to be able to appreciate, that kind of vibe, and not only just that, but appreciate the weather that we've got this time of year around where I'm at, because, for a lot of the year, it's so nasty. And if I'm being honest, as a fisherman, like, I get bad seasonal depression. I really do not like to spend a lot of time in the cold weather, but it is worth it for me as an outdoorsman to get my 15 minutes to an hour in to be outside, even though in the winter time it can be pretty brutal. But yeah, it's genuinely why I actually wanted to make this podcast, because I just wanted to talk about the importance of sacrifice and how important it is to understand what you love and what you really, really want your life to be like in the future, and to utilize your daily tasks to replicate how that can be a reality in the future. So, for example, if you want like something crazy big in your life, obviously, if it costs a lot of money, you're gonna have to, plan ahead for that and start planning for that expense before that, that comes your way. Otherwise, you're never gonna get it. I mean, it's kind of just how things work. You can't you're not given things. You have to work for the things that you're wanting. So the way that I'm operating my life at 23 years old is in a way that is specified to me and my own happiness. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. I'm sorry, and it's so loud probably with these windows down. But yeah, I'm building my lifestyle based off of my own happiness and based off of what I want to do and have in the future. And that's obviously a beautiful thing, but it's also a difficult thing to realize. Like, it's a really hard thing to know what you want, and to know, if you want to have a family or if you don't want to have a family, especially if you don't have a significant other. But in my opinion, I think that's easier to decipher if you don't, because then you're not having another individual to communicate that about, or communicate that with, which, is a really, it's a nice thing. Like, I think everybody should think about whether or not they want to have kids before they find their significant other, because that obviously can be a huge deal breaker down the road. So it's one of those things that I think is just super, super important, that we all kind of, take a step back and just think about our lives in a way that allows us to live on a daily basis, where we are implementing everything that we need to in order to receive the fruits that we choose and hope to have in the future. And it's a lot to do with, like, manifestation. Like, I'm not huge into that word, but I'm just saying, like, it is, like, if you want something big, like, you've got to manifest that. And the way that you manifest it is by understanding what it is that you want, and then working your way backwards and understanding what you need to do at this point in time, even if it is 10, 20 years away. What do you need to do today that's going to allow you to put yourself in that position in the future? And that's, like, what I've been obsessing over the past 3 to 4 years, is just trying to figure out how I can work backwards from where I want to be and the kind of impact that I want to leave on the world before I end up leaving. And it's like, it's a really, really serious conversation to have, and it's taken a lot of journaling. It's taken a lot of work in order to become clear on what I want and what kind of desires I have for my life. But I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing about this life in general, is that, a lot of us get caught up in the destination of where we hope to be, or the end goal, of where we want to be. And we think of that as like being when we're going to be happy. But in reality, the happiness comes from genuinely loving what you're doing throughout your daily life, while on the path to getting to where you want to be in the future. And that's a fucking confusing ass thing to get a grip of, but it's so real. And it's something that, for example, like me, I genuinely want to own my own businesses someday. I genuinely want to own a big brand someday. And the way that I'm going to do that is, first, like, I need to get out of debt. Like, that, the first thing that I did at 18 years old that screwed me over big time was I went to college for entrepreneurship, because that's what my family wanted me to do. And because of that, with inflation, but with interest rates and everything, my $16,000 to $20,000 semester ended up costing me $30,000 with a private loan. And I've been literally working to pay that off the past 3 to 4 years. And the reason why I share that is just simply because I've had to sacrifice so much because of that decision I made. I literally have to sacrifice time right now. That's why I'm wearing my Cabela's shirt, is because I genuinely have to make some hourly income so that I can pay my bills, my minimalistic bills that I have, and also be able to pay down my debt that I have. And it's not ideal, but it is my situation. And if you're in a better situation, hats off to you. And if you're in a worse situation, my hats off to you as well, because you have the power to take care of it, and you have every single thing that you need in front of you in order to do that. And if you have big dreams and ambitions like I do, and you want to become a content creator, and you want to put your personality online in one way or another, whether it be through written, audio, video content, like that genuinely is going to come from humility, and you having to do what you have to do, but also putting in the time to create content. Like, you have to work your hours in order to pay off the debt that you need to pay off and to pay your bills. But on top of that, instead of going home after your shift and watching Netflix or playing Xbox or doing things that are, for escapism and for you to relax, like, try to find something or a platform that you can create on that is going to allow you to, in 2 years, maybe even take hours away from your job that you're prioritizing now to pay off debts. And, if you get things situated financially, then maybe you're going to be able to cut back some hours to allow yourself to create even more. Or even better, you get a job that allows you to be on your phone all day long, and then you can create while you're getting paid hourly. Like, that's the ultimate dynamite situation for, a person like me that loves to create and loves to communicate with other people online. And that's why I genuinely want to create this podcast and spread that word to others that may not see that opportunity as clearly, because it's a hard opportunity to see, especially with the internet being as new as it is, with the blockchain technologies being on the forefront of becoming mainstream. It's huge. Like, what we're going through right now is huge. And if we're willing to, as humans, dedicate 5 to 10 years to bettering our own lives, to allow ourselves to do what we love to do more, and take away from what is essentially taking away from what we love to do. Like, if we eliminate those things, we're eventually going to be on a path of true happiness and success. Not, working a job that is allowing you to get a promotion every couple years, and then finally getting to $100,000 salary, and then buying a Hellcat and keeping that in the garage of your 3-bedroom, home that's got a 4-car garage that is just completely out of your means. Like, it's just too big for what you need. It's not, if you don't have a family of 4, like, why have a 3-bedroom home? You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for it. Like, it's time for us humans as a society to realize that it's not about that. It's genuinely about doing what you love to do every day. Like, and if you're living in a home that's really fancy and you're not doing what you love to do every day, who's winning? The guy that's living in a freaking four-person apartment home that's paying $300 a month to, make ends meet, and he's able to be happy and do what he loves to do, or somebody that's making $150,000 a year that's miserable 50 to 60 hours a week because they're getting paid salary and they have to work a shitload in order to pay for their home and their beautiful cars that they own, and maybe even a lake home. Like, that's the type of reality that we're dealing with today, and like, it's real. It's so damn real. It's so real that I'm making this podcast at 23 years old with hopes to inspire 45, 55, 65-year-old people that are living to please others and to make others jealous and or to keep up with others. Like, to make them realize that that's not what life's about. Life is not a happy journey if you're trying to fulfill voids that you have with materialistic things. Like, that's never gonna happen. Money is never gonna sustain what you are lacking as far as self-confidence goes, or as far as, like, doing what you love to do. Like, money is not gonna fill that void. You have to do the work. You have to figure out what it is that brings you happiness and purpose in this life. And I know I've said it numerous times, but I went from working 40 hours a week at a full-time job, plus having a second job on top of that, working 10 to 20 hours a week, while keeping my bills as low as humanly possible so that I can invest as much money as possible and also pay off as much money as possible on my loan. And that was my life from ages 18 to 21. And then finally I realized that all the money that I put into my damn student loan would have been really, really better off being invested, especially with my investment knowledge. Like, I could have turned the money that my loan's at about $16,000 now from $30,000. So if I would have turned that $14,000 into investments, as opposed to, paying more on my loan than I needed to, man, I probably would have that loan paid off. I'm not kidding. But I don't have a guy, that's somebody that I can look up to that's coaching me, or I don't have an individual. Matter of fact, the only other individual that I had as a role model in this industry, I met virtually, and she screwed me over to the point where I lost so much of my investment money from 2020 into 2021. Like, so much to the point where, it made me sick for a couple months. Like, it was really, really tough to deal with, but I learned a huge lesson from it, and sometime I'm for sure going to share that story on this podcast, and that's going to be an awesome learning lesson for a lot of people, because this is something, like, I got scammed in a way that a lot of people, I think, are getting scammed in without even realization of it right as I speak. And it's a real problem with this blockchain technology that is essentially the wild west. Like, it's a complete gold rush right now, and you can utilize that to your advantage at whatever age you are, or you can utilize that as a missed opportunity, because that's essentially what it is. Like, you're hopping in on a gold rush, or you're hopping out on a gold rush. And if you hop in on a gold rush with greed and selfish intent in mind, like, it's not going to work out. And that's what happened to me with my scam. Like, that's overall what I learned, is that I was being way too greedy. Like, if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Don't wait for it to be not, realistic. Like, just, if you have a gut feeling that's saying it's too good to be true, go with that gut feeling, and just don't even take it up, because it's not going to be worth the headache. But now, I'm at the point where I've been investing solidly for a year now into really, really smart things, and I've been diversifying my portfolio to the point where, the market's down, but I'm not down, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still good. I'm genuinely, I need to replace my air conditioning unit in this car because I'm sweating my gonads off. But besides that, like, I'm doing good investment wise, but it's not to the point where I'm able to pull money out and I'm able to fix my car yet. Like, I'm waiting to do that for as long as I possibly can. but I will be doing that shortly, and I look forward to doing that. But for the time being, like, I'm just so happy just learning as much as I am and being content, you know, doing what I'm doing throughout the week and creating as much as I'm creating, and just genuinely working as little as possible to float my, you know, my need for money and just allow myself to be able to live. But also I'm really being mindful of the fact that, like, in a couple years I really hope to not work this hourly job. Like, I really hope to be completely relying on my creative endeavors to sustain my lifestyle financially, and that's only going to take $500 to $1,000 a month. It's not going to take much, and that's why I'm so serious about giving every dollar back to the fishing industry, and every single fishing video that I make money off of in my future, you know, over the course of my 50 years of doing that, hopefully 70 years of doing fishing content, like, I will give all of that revenue back to the industry and to the community that, you know, essentially is watching my videos. And then as far as everything else is concerned, like this podcast, like, I'm gonna find ways to give back utilizing the revenue that I make from this podcast and this type of content creation. Anything that's not fishing related, I'm not gonna like give back fully. I'm gonna utilize that to build my empire and what I believe can change the world through brands and businesses in my future. And I really look forward to doing that. Like, that's genuinely what I find to be fun, and that's what I find to make myself happy. And I look forward to, you know, living that life in my 30s and being hopefully a really successful entrepreneur. That's genuinely my goal, and I just hope that, like I said, you know, I can continue just doing what I'm doing, and, you know, and hopefully the attention will come, and the community that I've always dreamed of having will manifest into reality. And I just look forward to it. And I really can't thank you enough for being a part of this journey. I seriously can't. And I again, if you're listening to this, like, please, like, just know that you can reach out to me in any way that you'd like, through social media, comments on this podcast, you know, whatever way that you feel most comfortable, feel free. I will happily respond and help in any way that I can. And yeah, I love you guys, and I really hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening or morning, whenever you're listening to this. I hope the rest of your day goes well. And as always, like, if you're happy out there, please spread that happiness. Take some time today to tell the people that you love them. And yeah, and if you're struggling out there, feel free to always reach out. And as always, stay kind, stay curious. You know, do something today that's going to challenge you and yourself, and will also benefit your future. Because, you know, if you sacrifice 2 hours to go to the gym today, trust me, your future self will really thank you. And that self-discipline being built is going to be really beneficial for your life. So go out there. I hope to inspire you to do something like that. And if not, just go for a walk or something. Take the dog for a walk if you got one, or whatever. But that being said, go do what you love to do. And yeah, we'll see you guys next Car Talk podcast, baby. Peace.